Well, I'm confused. Hey everyone, and thanks for joining me today. My name is Matt, and I'm hoping to make a quick video today, but I saw the market was down, just wanted to talk about that and kind of give, a teaching lesson maybe if you need it, or just talk about the market during times like this. Now, today, obviously, I had no intentions of making a video, and this is going to be more off the cuff, just me spitballing here, so I apologize if it's not necessarily my most organized video. But I was just doing my research, looking at companies, seeing what we can add to the Watchlist Wednesday portfolio, or if there's any other news going on that might be something I would like to talk about. And I couldn't help but notice that a lot of positions are down today. And that's fine. That's not the point I want to get to. But what had me a little, not concerned, but dumbfounded, for lack of a better phrase, was the stocks that were down. Because to name two of them specifically, Adobe and Lululemon, these are both companies that within the past few weeks had stellar earnings calls. The kind that every investor loves to hear because you're beating expectations, you grew revenue, you grew customer bases, yet they're down. And of course, curiosity kills the cat, but that's what made me make this video. I had to see what was up there today. And Nikola was the one that was up. I don't understand how that could be up. I do understand it, and that's actually what I wanted to talk about. So, I think it's important to note that I've said this before, but in case you're new here, something I've said in the past is we are getting closer and closer to the election. And every single time there's an election, you can guarantee the market's going to be volatile. I think even statistically speaking, there's usually a sell-off in September anyway, every year. So, with it being September, as we're nearing the end, as well as getting closer to an election, it is definitely a safe assumption to say that the market is going to be a little bit more haywire than it usually is. And that's what's fine. But what I guess bothers me a little bit here is this is not the first time that I've seen this happen. And I was trying to bite my tongue a little bit, but really can't anymore. And I honestly feel like I'm not doing as much of a service to all of you if I don't talk about this. And we've seen in the past, these companies, when the virus first started happening, of course, the airline industry took a hit. But then the airline industry just rallied for no reason. There really is no explainable reason why the airline industry was rallying. But I have two theories. The first one has to do with day trading. Obviously, a lot of people were picking up on this, and they, for whatever reason, we're thinking that might have been a great position to get into. And that's where, day trading and high frequency trading is what influences the day-to-day volatility in the market. And I think that might have been the first thing to prop up the airlines a little bit. Because I think people were honestly thinking they would go to zero and then hope that some other big airline would buy out another one and then they'd get shares of the better airline. But let's be honest, that doesn't always happen if a company drops to zero. And so that is just wishful thinking. Nothing wrong with wishful thinking, especially in the stock market. You have to be an optimist, but or a pessimist if you just want to be on the sell side. But that is investing for the wrong reason. So that's point one, or theory one. The other theory that I have, and this is the one that I am always a little hesitant to say because, this is coming from probably one of the smaller channels, finance channels on YouTube, but I think this is what makes me a little bit different. And you notice that when I do these reviews of companies, Apple is probably the most notable one. I just did that one yesterday. Every other company I do is one that kind of flies under the radar because I actually have taken the time to read, understand the numbers. I never even look at a chart, but I learn who their CEO is. I listen to their earnings calls. I look at who their competitors are. What is their advantage over their competition? What are the macroeconomic factors that can influence the performance of this company? And then I decide to talk about it on my channel. But there's a lot of people out there who just pull up a graph and think that graph is telling the whole story. And yeah, there are technical traders out there, especially if you have your CFA. All that makes sense. But I know people with their CFA that still don't look at charts. They truly use, a qualitative analysis, or they actually go through and do the discounted cash flows like what you see me do, or other valuation methods. But seeing somebody with a chart and it's line this way, how did you guys not see how to buy? It's I'd have a better chance picking stocks with rolling dice than I would looking at that chart. And I just think that it's so easy to kind of copy what everybody else is doing, that we start to get a lot of focus on the wrong companies. Again, there's really no reason Nikola should be up today. That should be down because everybody's saying they're a fraud. And I guess now good news is bad news and bad news is good news, because that's really how the market seems to be reacting. And I guess one thing I want to say is just be careful with the information you get. I have nothing wrong with you watching every single finance channel out there. Definitely support the people out there. But it's maybe not well known. Finance channels, when you get to the point of being monetized, I am not. But when you get to the point of being monetized, finance channels are the ones that pay the most. So it's a place a lot of people get into without necessarily having the right understanding about investing. All they do is watch one channel, put it in their own words, upload the video, and then, collect their paycheck from ad revenue from YouTube. And I'm not calling out anybody specifically, but you do see this from time to time. And you also see people that pull up an ETF and they say, well, let's look at QQQ and how the market's doing. It's like QQQ is not the market. QQQ is an index fund based on a bigger index. And I know that sounds complicated, but just understand that ETFs that are an index are not the actual index themselves. I know that's one of those harder concepts to really understand, but basically these people will take an index, take the Dow Jones, and they'll find those stocks, but then a company like Vanguard might add 5 or 10 other stocks to that position. So it's not the same, and it's really not an accurate representation. And so what I really just want to say, and I'm probably just going to end it here, is during times like this, expect volatility. Understand, though, that when you invest, you should have a plan in place. Like I said, the Watchlist Wednesday portfolio, no, it's not real money, but I absolutely treat it like it is real money in case somebody out there actually is watching that and building a portfolio off of. And if you've done that, you've probably done pretty well then. But I just think that it's important to bear in mind when you have a plan in place, especially when it comes to your investments, you really want to stick to that plan, because that's what's going to take you a long way with your investing, and it's what's going to prevent you from making impulse reactions. The market has a lot of emotions tied to it, and the best investors generally are the ones that can remove their emotions from it. So yes, it's the end of September, sell-off season, and it's a election year, so volatility season as well. That's two hurricanes colliding with each other. And I just want to give that different perspective out there that, yeah, sure, buy the dip. That's awesome. But make sure when you buy the dip, you're not just buying it because it's down so much that day and it's a meaningless company. You're buying the dip because, right now Adobe is down, Lululemon is down, and I absolutely believe that those are very strong and powerful companies. But because somebody else out there is saying otherwise, it keeps driving the price further and further down. So my take on what's going on with the market right now is a lot of this has to do with the election, September, as well as just there is an abundance, again, of bad information out there. And I hate to say it, but I will be the one to say it, that not everyone out there knows exactly what they're talking about. So find the channels that you find are more credible. Again, you could look me up on Broker Check if you want to make sure that I've actually worked in the industry. But you don't even have to work in the industry to be credible. It's just somebody that has taken the time to actually learn it. And usually a good way of seeing somebody's credibility is if they say something different than what you're seeing out there already. So if it's just a different perspective, tone, topic, any of that, that's a good source. Also, though, learn from the best. I listen to the Motley Fool podcast because those are all analysts, the CIO of Motley Fool, the founder of Motley Fool, all talking about stocks. So those are people that I can trust. If I have questions, I look them up on websites like Investopedia to help make sure that I have the correct understanding of things or have the correct calculation for, trying to calculate beta, which is not fun. So bear that in mind. Ask questions to the right people. Take everything with a grain of salt, but be open to learning about different opportunities. Hope that makes sense. I'll wrap it up here. I guess thank you so much for taking the time out of your day to watch this video. Sorry if this was a meaningless video, but I hope you got some kind of value out of it. If you liked this video, I hope you give it a thumbs up. It does deserve a thumbs down though if you did not like it, so feel free to dislike it as well. If you haven't subscribed already, hope that you consider doing so. It's free. Not anywhere else you can get much stuff for free, so why not try it out? Stick around for a little bit. Get comfy. All right, that's a weird ending. I'll just stop myself there. Take care. I will see you next time. Thanks again for watching this.